All right, deep divers, welcome back. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Huh, just a bit.
Yeah, like 8 months since our last Unbreakable 2 reviews deep dive. Apologies for the radio silence. Let's just say prepping for Outback Jack.
Uh, well, he's complex.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, maybe we got a bit lost in the metaphorical outback ourselves trying to wrangle all this info. But hey, we're back and honestly really excited to finally dig into another character. So today's mission is pretty straightforward. We're diving deep into the current character sheet for the one, the only, Outback Jack.
Yep, we're going through the source material that's UB2, the war hero, Outback Jack, and pulling it apart. Aliases, backstory, powers, weaknesses, skills, the whole deal.
Exactly. Our goal is to really pull out those key nuggets, those insights about this war hero. Understand what makes him tick, you know? Okay, let's start with the basics. Alias. Outback Jack, all caps. Very subtle.
No.
And then his real name is Jack Harlem. Then, okay, the age. 100 and 34 years old. Male. 134. Right off the bat, that's a statement. It really is. And what's fascinating here is how that age immediately sets a tone for who he is. Like, before we even touch his history or powers, it frames everything.
It has to, right? 134 years. How does that even work with his worldview, the whole minefield thing?
Well, think about it. Seeing the world as a minefield isn't just paranoia if you've lived through, multiple major wars, maybe even seen the causes repeat. It makes his goal, achieving that furlonged title, feel less like personal ambition and more maybe like a desperate attempt to finally fix something he's seen break over and over again.
Wow, okay. That adds a whole layer of weariness almost.
Exactly. A deep, maybe even exhausted understanding of conflict.
Okay, and then the visual. We've got this image. He looks intense. Powerful guy, desert background. There's an explosion, a plane, glowing eyes, horns, which is a look, and this unique symbol on his chest, plus the stats. Stubble, 6'4", muscular, ambidextrous, brown hair. How does this picture mesh with the 134-year-old veteran idea?
It screams conflict, doesn't it? He looks like he was forged in battle. That desert, the explosion, it's the visual embodiment of the war hero title. He carries the weight of conflict physically, not just metaphorically.
So the image reinforces the idea of someone who's endured, who's been through the ringer.
Absolutely. A force shaped by a lifetime, or maybe several lifetimes, of struggle.
Okay, let's dig into his core, his worldview. Jack stares at the world, picturing it to be a minefield, set to blow if nobody steps in to save the day. Plus, this belief that soldiers are only just heroes upholding a reclaimed title, which he will soon achieve himself. That's heavy.
It's incredibly heavy. And it raises that question. Is he perpetually on edge because of this? Or is it the very thing that fuels his drive? Does he need that sense of imminent danger?
Maybe it's both. Like the vigilance keeps him sharp, but it's also the source of his motivation to act.
I think that's likely. He feels that danger acutely and believes he's the one, maybe the only one, who can step in and disarm the situation, reclaim that heroic ideal.
Right. But then, the vices. Smoking is his most highly known trait, along with his drinking addiction as a side hustle. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. A war hero, aiming to save the world, but with serious smoking and drinking habits.
Yeah, and it could just seem like a contradiction, but doesn't it also make him feel more real? Maybe those aren't just flaws, maybe they're, coping mechanisms. Scars from carrying that minefield view for over a century.
So less a moral failing, more a consequence of his life and outlook.
Possibly. It adds this layer of grounded humanity, I think. Makes him less of a perfect archetype and more of a person who's actually lived through hell.
That makes sense. And it's balanced by these virtues. Optimistic, which is interesting given the worldview. Calculating, trustworthy, responsible, decisive, charismatic. And then perplex. What do you make perplex as a virtue?
Perplex. Given the calculating and his military background, I'd lean towards it meaning he's strategically baffling. Hard to predict.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just has this really complex, layered way of seeing things that confuses others.
So, strategically confusing. I like that.
Yeah, it adds to the idea that he's got hidden depths. So you put it all together, the vices, the strong virtues, the perplexing nature, and you get someone really multifaceted. Not just a hero or an anti-hero, but something complex.
Definitely not simple. And his goals and motives tie right back in.
Uh,
Setting the world free of the shackles, holding it captive, and achieving his forlong title he fought for. It always comes back to that minefield, doesn't it?
It really does. His personal quest and his view of global danger are completely intertwined. He's fighting because of the minefield.
Okay, let's trace that path. The backstory. Starts with him growing up during World War II. Harlem was settled in an immense upbringing during the current war, WW2. Says he conflicted with himself heavily, but always set for his best.
And then the enlistment, talk about a compelling story. He's 18, gets called into the Australian Anzac unit, and the choice is literally join up or go to prison.
Wow. Talk about motivation.
Right, and he doesn't just scrape by. The sheet says he was effortlessly passing each trial, astonishing the chief with his swift tactics and his perseverance.
So a natural soldier, even under duress. He climbs the ranks fast, becomes chief in command of the unit, leads them in battle, and it sounds brutal. Soldiers lost, blood drawn, blood dripped down Jack's nose, open wounds on his calves, though he kept pushing for glory.
Yeah, it paints a vivid picture.
It mentions one specific fierce battle leading on for 5 months. 5 months. Until the other side gave up. They had won with Jack.
That 5-month battle, you can imagine that leaves a mark. The source even says it's something Jack will always have in the back of his mind, all that was lost, along with all that was achieved. That kind of trauma and triumph shapes you.
Absolutely. And he keeps going. Serves another 6 years, fights alongside Americans, gains more knowledge, makes friends. He turns 26 during this period. He's already lived a lifetime of war by then.
A lifetime before the weird stuff even starts.
Exactly. Which brings us to the powers. The origin story is, well, it's something. Until a certain day, on came a sunny, broad morning, settling by the riverbank, drinking with a beer can in his hand. Sounds peaceful enough?
Famous last words.
Right. Then, spinning in whirls, the wind spun, a tornado arising, along with a kangaroo bouncing his way in panic. A tornado and a kangaroo.
Just your average Tuesday by the river.
Apparently. He sat up from his chair, the tornado launching the kangaroo towards him as it lashed onto his arm, blood oozing out. Then the tornado hurtles toward him. He closes his eyes, wakes up in a hospital bed.
And his first words.
His first words, knew this shithole wasn't heaven. Classic Jack. Just
like perfect. You gotta love it.
So a day later, he's walking down the street, humming, normal stuff. Though in an instant, he screamed with pain, his ears ringing out from the noise. Instinctively, he kicked the nearby wall, the concrete wall breaking on sight.
Whoa. So that's the first sign, the hearing overload, then the unexpected strength.
Yeah. And that's his light bulb moment. He only knew now that this was a gift and a curse. Now life will become his new battlefield to glorify. From actual war zone to, well, life is a war zone. Okay, now, let's unpack this power origin because there's one interesting detail in the sheet. Under power, the type is listed as Delta.
Ah, yes. The infamous Delta type.
Yeah.
Very specific. Very informative.
Right. It feels like maybe someone typed the wrong thing or just threw in a placeholder. Like, what even is Delta in this context?
It's wonderfully mysterious, isn't it? Almost sounds like a secret military project, but the description, tornado, kangaroo, that doesn't exactly scream lab experiment.
Not unless a very chaotic lab experiment involving wildlife and weather control. So jokes aside, if we had to give it a proper classification based on what happened, random environmental event, animal interaction, sudden biological change.
Yeah.
What fits best?
Well, given all that randomness, the animal link, the lack of any clear external tech or mystical force, lean pretty heavily towards mutant, wouldn't you? It fits that spontaneous, unexplained biological shift triggered by a freak event.
Yeah, mutant feels right. Not otherworldly, not really experimental, just bizarrely biological. Outbacky even.
Outbacky mutant, let's go with that. Definitely not Delta.
Okay, mutant it is. So let's look at these mutant powers. Super strength and super hearing. The strength is specifically in his hind legs.
Which makes sense given the kangaroo connection, maybe.
Maybe. The sheet says, reinforced concrete denting. Enough capacity to knock over a moving metal food cart. Enough to break in concrete wall inside a house, glass shattering. His kicking velocity is up to 40 mile per hour, which lines up perfectly with him kicking that wall.
Right, so his legs are basically pile drivers, serious kinetic force there.
And then the super hearing. It's got a 30-meter radius. He can hear heavy breathing and, crucially, hear any crime near him, such as local robberies, armed robbery, theft, grand theft auto. It's like a localized police scanner built into his head.
Very practical for his minefield worldview. He's literally tuned into the nearby dangers.
But, big but, it comes with weaknesses. That super hearing. Outback Jack is overly sensitive to loud noises, horns, along with screaming in general. It can be too overwhelming for him, veteran or not.
Which connects directly back to that first manifestation, the ringing ears, the pain. So his greatest sensory asset is also a major vulnerability. Loud noises could incapacitate him.
Yeah, it creates a real tactical problem. He needs quiet, to operate effectively, or at least manage the input.
It forces him to be smart about engagements, doesn't it? He can't just wade into chaos.
Exactly. And the super strength isn't invincibility either. It's just his hind legs. So the rest of his body does not have such immense power, causing those parts to be vulnerable.
Okay, so targeted attacks could work. You don't fight the legs.
Right. Plus, general weaknesses. He's vulnerable to overwhelming climates, such as heat, due to his mass amount of gear. And that gear also makes him not very agile, slowing him.
So he's a tank, but a potentially slow, overheating tank with specific weak points and a sensitivity to loud sounds. That's actually quite a balanced set of limitations.
It really is. It makes him powerful, but not unbeatable. It forces strategy.
And for a character who sees the world as a minefield, having to navigate his own internal minefield of weaknesses, that's pretty compelling. How does he plan around those things?
Good question. Which probably ties into his skills. Unsurprisingly, given the backstory, he's got combat skills listed.
Oh, yeah.
Swift techniques and maneuvers, absolute mastery of weaponry, along with close quarters combat in general.
Makes perfect sense. Decades of military experience wouldn't just vanish. He's not just relying on the super kick.
Yep. Nope. He's got the training to back it up.
Yeah.
And military war knowledge, specifically citing the Anzacs and Americans, learning tactical sense, leadership, strategic motives, and strategic thinking.
So he's the brains and the brawn, or at least the super-powered legs. That combination of seasoned tactical thinking and mutant power is formidable.
Definitely. Now, items. He has bullet-shooting mechanisms inside weaponry, standard military gear he knows how to use, but then the other item,
Oh, here we go.
the beer can, which apparently gives him energy.
Yeah.
It makes him drunk and hungover.
Wait, so it's like Popeye spinach, but beer, and with a definite downside.
Pretty much. He literally fuels up with beer, gets a boost, but pays for it later. It's perfectly Outback Jack, isn't it?
It really is. It ties the vice directly to his capabilities in a very tangible and slightly absurd way. It's both a power-up and a self-inflicted weakness. Fits him perfectly.
Couldn't agree more. And just to round it out, under inepts, it notes, Outback Jack does not have any known illnesses or disabilities. Which, honestly, for 134 years old...
Especially given the life he's led.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe the most surprising thing on the sheet.
Huh, true. So let's try and pull this all together. We have Outback Jack, Jack Harlem, 134 years old, a WWII vet who saw the world as a minefield before he got powers.
Powers he got from a freaked tornado meets kangaroo incident, making him a mutant type, despite the mysterious delta on the sheet.
Right. He has super kicking legs and super sensitive hearing, both with significant drawbacks. He's burdened by vices like smoking and drinking, yet possesses strong virtues like optimism and trustworthiness, plus that baffling perplex quality.
And he uses a beer can for energy boosts. Can't forget the beer can.
Never forget the beer can. He's driven by this need to free the world and achieve a title he feels he earned long ago. He's worth a lot.
He really is. He's this fascinating mix of gritty realism, wartime trauma, unexpected superpower absurdity, and sheer endurance. He's old world soldier meets bizarre new world power.
So why should you, listening right now, care about Outback Jack? I think it's because he's such a potent reminder that heroes aren't clean cut. They're messy, they have baggage, they have weird origin stories, sometimes involving marsupials.
And that immense power doesn't erase flaws or history. It just adds another layer of complexity.
Exactly. Even at 134, he's still fighting, still grappling with the world, maybe still figuring things out, beer can in hand. He feels very human, despite it all. So here's something to chew on as we wrap up. Think about Jack's age, that minefield view, and the sheer randomness of his power origin. How does knowing life as this new battlefield truly change someone like him, someone already steeped in decades of actual war? Is achieving that title even the point anymore, or is the battle itself just endless for him?
And can you ever truly win or find peace in a world you fundamentally believe is rigged to explode? What does heroism even mean then?
Deep thoughts to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Outback Jack. We promise it won't be 8 months until the next one.
We'll try our best.
Until then, keep digging, deep divers.